What is up, Internet Basketball Junkies? I'm here with one of my favorite coaches, and that's Coach Kyle Menke from Lake Mills, Iowa. Coach Menke, how you doing? Thanks for joining us here.
Yeah, doing well. Thank you. Always enjoy talking hoops with you, and I'm sure it'll be no different tonight.
There's a lot I want to talk to you about here tonight, including your use of the flex offense through the years. But the first thing I wanted to get from you was you've accumulated 400 wins over your coaching career. Tell me about that night, the night that you won your 400th game.
Yeah, it was a fun game. Not a real well played game for us. It was in December of last year, so early December of 24, and we trailed the whole game. Played pretty poorly on the road. Hit a three as time expired to send it to overtime, and then ended up winning by two. So it was a exciting way to get it for sure. Certainly not the best played game that I've ever been a part of, but yeah, it's definitely one that I will never forget.
Yeah, that's interesting because it's a game that you might have lost. So there's a lot of people anticipating. There's a lot of buildup for a 400th win, and to have a seesaw game that you end up coming out on top of. I bet that was just a big relief. And then to let it all out with the community and your family afterwards, I bet that was just a special occasion. How many years have you been coaching?
This is my 27th year, and it's all been at the same school, Lake Mills, Iowa, northern part of the state. Here, we're a small school, a Class 1A school, and it's my wife and I moved here in 1999 and never left. We've loved this community, and it's just been really good to us. And yeah, it's been a real honor to coach here.
And you've been a teacher this whole time.
Yeah, yep. I taught third grade for about 17 years, and then made a switch and moved to fifth grade. And so, yeah, this is already my 10th year of teaching fifth grade. And yeah, time certainly flies, and I've enjoyed kind of the variety of being able to teach elementary and then work with high school basketball after school.
Yeah, I did a stint in elementary school, and what a breath of fresh air that was. I came from the high school where things were a lot different and things were a lot more serious, and the elementary school was it's a different thing. And I wasn't expecting to be walking down the hallway and just get hugs from kids and things like that, but I really enjoyed my time in the elementary school. And when I was going into it, I wasn't so sure about it with all my experience being in the high school previous to that. But I really valued that time, and I'm sure that you feel the same way.
Yeah. It's a great school to be a part of. It's K through 12, all in one building. We get great support from our administration, and yeah, pretty small class sizes on a normal basis. And I've had really good people to teach and coach with over the years. So, yeah, pretty uncommon to stay in one place in this profession for your entire career. But we just have never had a good reason to leave. We have four kids, and love seeing them do all the activities that you can be part of in a small school. And yeah, it's just a really, really good place. And yeah, a little shout out to my hometown of Lake Mills here.
What I'm always interested in, as a guy that was coached by his father, and then my father was coached by my grandfather, your experience, because you've coached at least one of your kids or multiple. Can you fill me in on that, Coach?
Yeah, we have one son, Eli, and he graduated in May of 2024, and then we have three daughters. And so, yes, I've gotten to coach my daughters in various things, not always just basketball, but softball and helping out with track and different things like that. And then with Eli, I coached him in a number of sports from when he and his classmates were very young. And then, yeah, had the experience of him playing for me really in the best era ever of Lake Mills basketball. In Eli's 4 years of high school, he was able to go to the state tournament 3 times, and the year that we didn't go, we made it to the sub-state round. And so that's something that I don't take for granted at all. I'm very thankful for it, and the opportunity to have gotten to coach my son, and now it's fun watching him compete at the college level. He plays at a small school here in Iowa.
I want you to tell me one funny story that involves you and your son working together in a basketball program.
Well,
and I had an experience with my dad where we shared some success together, and that's always going to be a bond that we had. But my biggest takeaway from being a player for my father was kind of understanding the behind the scenes of what it means to be a coach. You know, I had always thought as a player, you know, I just showed up when it was time for practice and I did my workouts on my own, but I really didn't understand what it took to be a coach, the practice planning, the whiteboard sessions, the film breakdown. And I really got to see that on a firsthand basis from my dad. And it really shaped me as a coach, getting to experience that from a player's perspective. But share a story with me about Eli.
Yeah, we had a great experience as father son, but as my wife would tell you, it wasn't always cakes and roses. I mean, there's highs and lows to it. I mean, it's about the years when he was in middle school, maybe around 7th or 8th grade. I would tell, somebody might come up and congratulate me after a win, and compliment our program, and I would point across the gym and to my son, and I'd say, well, if you talk to that guy right there, I'm the dumbest person in the community about the sport of basketball. And, of course, joking around a little bit there, but there are certainly times when you're trying to make a point to your son and help him reach his potential. There's times when it's not the smoothest of sailing, but I'll tell you what, it's the highlight of my coaching career is getting an opportunity to coach him. And a lot of people don't know this, but I was diagnosed with AML in 2023, and that was a huge deal for our family. That was going into Eli's senior year, and honestly didn't know if I was going to be able to even coach that year. And I had a bone marrow transplant in September of 23. And, by the grace of God, I'm healthy, and the bone marrow transplant was successful. And I was able to coach that season. And it's just something that I still think about now. And I probably always will think about, just the, that was kind of the pinnacle of it all. You coach your kid through 3rd grade basketball and 7th grade basketball and into high school. And then we almost didn't get to have that experience just due to some unfortunate health with me, but everything worked out well. And we were 25-2 his senior year. And he was an all conference player and an all sub-state player, and one of the best 3-point shooters in Lake Mills history. And I'm just very blessed that I was able to have that experience.
Yeah, what an intense thing to go through as a family. And not all those stories have happy endings. It's good to hear that yours had a happy ending. And It's awesome to hear that you had a great experience coaching your kid. I can remember when I was in high school playing for my dad, and we were sharing one gym. So we made the decision to move our practices to before school. So we were all getting up at 6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, or whatever it was back then. But I can remember vividly my teammates giving me grief because my dad was the coach, and he made this decision that everybody had to get up at 5:30 in the morning to go get their practice done. But I ended up really liking that, because then after school, our whole day was free after that. Hey, I want to transition here and talk a little bit about the flex offense. I know that's something that you've used extensively in your coaching career. And, I wanted to roll some clips and just have a conversation with you about running the flex and what that's kind of meant for you. So first, I'm going to get the film here rolling. Why'd you choose to run the flex, Coach? What stood out to you as this being an offense that you guys could thrive with?
Well, I started coaching in 1999, and flex was still pretty popular around those years. And to be honest, just trying to get a program going. Someone gave me a book, and it was an old book written in 1984 by Ron Ryder. It's called Flex: The Total Offense, and I don't know. I just really dug into it. I knew a little bit about the flex just from my own playing days, but just liked a lot of the simplicity and the structure to it, and I felt like there was a lot of things that we could do and get kids to understand. And started running it pretty early in my career, and it's changed a lot. This past summer I looked at some old clips of the early days when we were running it, and just kind of made me smile just to kind of see how the game of basketball has evolved in that time period. And I don't know. It's just it's not the only thing that we run. I mean, this year we've got a really quick point guard, and we're trying to do a lot with him out of high ball screens, and but we're always going to run some flex, and we feel like we have good success with it when we mix it in at the right times. And I just kind of take it on a year-to-year basis. If I have a team that I think really needs the structure of just the flex continuity, we'll run a lot of that. Some years we'll do a lot more with certain set plays or whatever it may be. But it's just kind of one of those things that I feel like I know it very well, and I know that everybody that I coach against knows it well also. They know that that's something that we're going to use, but our kids do a great job of executing it, and we usually have some good success.
Yeah, I can vividly remember when I got into coaching, I would see teams that were running the flex, and I would think it was like corny or outdated. And then I had to try to defend it as a coach, and I was having more trouble than I'd like to admit defending the offense. And then this thing has happened with Bruce Pearl, where he's taken Auburn and they've made it like one of their main things that they do. And that's a good example of the evolution of the offense, where you're seeing a little bit different spacing used by Auburn, where they're higher and wider than probably what you read in your manual from 1984. And
Yes.
Then all these little bells and whistles that they add to it, where they run sets out of the flex, they run sets into the flex. They have counter options galore. They do all kinds of stuff. And that's one of the things that I've appreciated watching Lake Mills film, which is you guys have a bunch of different entries. You have a 1-4 high entry. You have a box entry. You're using a UCLA cut. You have a corner option that I love, where you pass it to the corner and you just bring your screener who is coming off the down screen and turn that into a stagger. So it has been interesting to see kind of the evolution of this offense. And I think it went out of style for a while, but definitely with this Auburn team that we're looking at now, that was number one in the nation and statistically high ranked for offensive efficiency using the flex, that's certainly brought it back in fashion quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. Agree with all of that. Auburn loved watching those teams, and it'll be interesting to see, how much. I haven't watched much Auburn this year, but just loved seeing the different wrinkles and just seeing it being played in a real modern style of spacing. And I think for us as high school coaches, when we see a coach like Bruce Pearl running flex so well and making it so difficult for high level athletes to defend, gives us confidence that we can do the same thing at the high school level. And absolutely love what you put together with the Auburn flex. That I mean, as much as I have worked with flex over the years, so many things that I took from that, and notes that I took, and little things that we've added to our practices. And I just think it's a really, really well done product on your part, in all seriousness.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. You've installed this offense many times over your coaching career. What would you say would be non-negotiables of getting this offense executed?
Yeah, you just have to have counters. I mean, if you want to beat good teams, no matter what type of an offense you are going to run, or what type of offensive concepts you're trying to put out there, you can't. There's got to be counters to it. I mean, this year, I'm coaching a very young, inexperienced group. I only have 2 players back that have any prior varsity experience. And the biggest thing that we're struggling with is just getting those guys to run, when we do run flex, to run the counters consistently, to pass the ball to the corner and know that we can stay right in the continuity, but we can just hit the defense with some different angles and things like that. And I think it's something that's going to improve as the year goes on. But that's the biggest thing for me, is you can't just teach the basic pattern and say, okay, now we're going to go out and beat good teams with this. There has to be more to it. There has to be counters. There has to be reads. We try to teach where every screen, the guy using that screen, it's a read. You're reading the angle you're going to cut off the screen. Are you going to turn the screen down and use the pin down instead? I mean, there's so many things that you can do with flex, and I've got to give a lot of credit to our players for being able to adapt to those things.
Yeah, with any continuity style of offense, there's an element of predictability to it. So you touched on the counters a little bit. I talk about circle motion offense, which carries a lot of the same characteristics, where the defense can predict a bit what you're going to do. And that's where being able to read the defense and make decisions to make the defense be wrong when they anticipate your next cut becomes so important. Thinking about the flex offense in general, you'd mentioned you run it more with some teams, you run it less with some of your teams. What would you be thinking if you didn't have a dominant post player to run it with? What would you be thinking if you had limited shooting to run the flex offense? What if you're undersized? Just talk about your thought process a little bit in implementing it with your teams, with common problems that most coaches might have.
Yeah. If you don't have much shooting, you're probably going to struggle with anything that you try
offense.
to do. If you're right, if you're facing good, a good opponent. But, I would say if you are a limited shooting team, then you've just really got to teach extreme patience with the offense, because you're not going to want to take the first, semi-contested 3 that's presented if you're not a very good shooting team. And so, you can, in Iowa, we have a 35-second shot clock, and you can get multiple reversals and multiple actions out of one possession where you're changing sides of the floor. And so I would say maybe patience there. If you don't have if you don't have a dominant big man, it is a really good offense, because then you are able to, pull defenders out of the paint that maybe aren't very comfortable guarding. From there, you're going to force switches from some teams. So I would say it's a really good offense for teams that don't have a dominant big. Yeah, and as for the shooting part, like I said, I just we're an okay shooting team this year. We're making a lot of threes, but we need to be a little bit better with our percentage. Maybe our shot selection needs to improve a little bit. And so, yeah, the questions that you ask are things that I am constantly asking myself and trying to evaluate as we try to make our team better.
Coach, but before we move on into the next topic, was there a moment in your coaching career that the flex offense maybe saved a game or saved a season that you can think of off the top of your head?
Yeah, there actually is. 2022 state tournament. We had a very talented team, and that was a year we really didn't run a ton of flex. We had a really good versatile big man that we tried to play through, and a very good point guard, and just a very good balanced team overall. But ran into a team at the state tournament where we were not getting any success with the high ball screen stuff that we were running. They had a good big that kind of neutralized our star players' ability to score on the interior. That game was tied up at halftime, and in the second half, just trying some different things out. We opened the third quarter trying to run a little bit more structure, and ran quite a bit of flex, and the other team really struggled to defend it. I don't think they were really prepared to guard a lot of flex, and we ended up outscoring them by 17 in the second half, and won the game handily. So it was a good reminder for me as a coach that everything you're doing in practice, you don't necessarily know when it's going to be beneficial to you. And going into that game, it's not like I was planning on running multiple possessions in a row of flex offense, but we did that, and the kids were able to run it extremely well. We got great shots and kind of dominated the second half.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the flex offense, and I don't think it needs to be like the only thing that any coach would do, but I love it as a tool for a coach to be able to create off-ball screening and movement, where we've entered a basketball period where a lot of things is, rely on dribble penetration and ball screen, and the ball can just get so sticky at times that if you have something to go to that really makes players cut and screen off the ball, and the flex is a great example of that. I think it's nice to just have in a bag of tools as a coach. Hey, I want to dig into your coaching environment here. Tell me about, Lake Mills as a town. Tell me about the people of Lake Mills. Tell me about how they support athletics.
Yeah, it's a great community. We're just over 2,000 people. I think we've got around 2,100 in this town, and 1A school. So we're at the smallest classification in Iowa. But yeah, there we are right on the screen. But yeah, beautiful town. Just great people. They really support the school. The school is kind of the center of our community, and not just basketball, but other sports as well. We get really good community support, and honestly, I'm sure that's one of the major reasons why I've stayed here so long, is because administrators support us. I've had great assistant coaches to work with. Parents allow us to work with their kids and kind of stay out of our way, and just let us work with them, and know that we're trying to put the best product out on the floor. And it's just a great place. It's kind of hard for me to say anything negative at all. We've got some industry in town here, and it's a place where I know we get a lot of people to move here, and it's just a great community, and a place that I have no intent on leaving.
I know a lot of smaller towns, the community kind of revolves around the school and the athletic programs. Does Lake Mills fit into that category?
It sure does. Yeah, it's if you come to one of our games on a Tuesday or Friday night, it's our stands are pretty full on the home side, and that is so much fun for us as coaches, and more so for those players to be warming up and looking up into the stands and seeing that great support. And I mentioned my son, who plays a little bit of college basketball right now, and you go to some of those junior college games, and might be 50 to 80 people total in the stands. Yeah. And it makes you appreciate just kind of the small town environment of a place like Lake Mills, and just the atmosphere that even small school basketball can generate for the community.
How do you think coaching in a smaller community kind of shapes your approach to coaching?
Oh, good question. I don't know. I mean, if I were coaching at a 4A school, I don't think I would do it much different. I mean, when you have a small school like this, the youth program matters so much. If the head coach doesn't take an active interest in the youth program, then it's your own fault if you don't have, players that you've been able to develop and have success at the high school level. And I know that's much different. I have 3 younger brothers, and they all live down in kind of the Des Moines area, the center of the state of Iowa. And it's just interesting. I'm about 2 hours away from them, and listening to their experiences and there's so much more like AAU and kind of structured, organized activities for their kids to do in a place like Lake Mills. We have a really good park and rec department, and I think the coaches in our school that are dedicated to their sports, they understand that you as a coach have to kind of put that stuff out there for the kids in your community. And so I think I hope that answers your question, but I think that's what I would say is just being in a small town like this, that you've got to be involved in all aspects of your program, and that extends all the way down to the elementary level.
Yeah, I've coached at both small school and big school, and I felt like it was completely different. What I felt about coaching at a bigger school was there was so many fires to put out. There was so much stuff going on behind the scenes that it made it hard to just coach. And when I was at a smaller school, it felt like I could put more of my concentration on practices and what was going on the court. And I really, appreciated that about the small school setting. We covered a little bit of, what Lake Mills is, but how did we get there? When did you know basketball coaching was for you? Were you always a basketball guy?
Yeah, I was. My dad did not coach me at any levels, but my dad loved basketball and still does to this day. And he got me into it when I was a kid, and so I played competitive basketball, probably starting around 5th grade, and then throughout high school, and played 2 years in college at a small college in Orange City, Iowa, Northwestern College. And I was by no means a top player, a star player, anything like that, and enjoyed that experience too. But after 2 years of playing, I really had kind of started to develop the interest in coaching. I got to coach one of my younger brothers for like an AAU team. The parents kind of organized the tournaments and the scheduling, and then I would come coach the practices and coach them at the tournaments. And man, I found out really quick how much I loved that. I'm probably one of the rare people out there, and I've told this to other coaches, and they kind of look at me strange, but I probably enjoy coaching it more than I enjoyed playing. I love playing basketball, but it's definitely for me something where I feel like it's been a calling for me since I got that experience of coaching my brother. And yeah, while I was student teaching at Northwestern, I was able to be a paid varsity assistant coach for a really good coach at what was actually my home high school, and had a great experience learning under him. And then after my wife and I graduated college, a head coaching job was presented to me here in Lake Mills at the age of 22. And was I ready for that? No. Did I do a good job my first year? I did not. I'm sure I felt like I did at the time, but looking back at that now, you experience and perspective just really plays into how you evaluate the past. And I joke with some of those guys that I coached my first few years. It's like, I wish I would have had you 10 years into my coaching career. I think we could have done a lot more with the pieces that we had. But yeah, just something I love to do. It's a true passion in life for me, and yeah, hopefully I stay healthy, and I go back for appointments about every 4 months or so right now, and it's truly one of the things I think about most. If I get good results, it's like, well, that's more time that I get with my players and with my team, and hopefully that will continue.
I got my first head coaching job when I was 26 years old. I didn't know much then, although I didn't really know all that I didn't know. I started learning that as my coaching career evolved. I couldn't imagine being a 22-year-old and being a head coach. Tell me about how that opportunity came to you. Is it something you were actively seeking, or did it fall into your lap, Coach?
Well, I was looking for an elementary teaching job, and of course, back in 1999, how did you find jobs? I mean, literally the Sunday paper. You'd look at the ads and what schools were looking for teachers, and I had a couple opportunities to teach different grade levels at other schools and be an assistant coach, and I don't know, just didn't feel like it was maybe a great fit. The places that I had applied, and then this one popped up. It was in the Des Moines Register, and I third grade teacher and head boys basketball coach, and so I sent in my stuff and got the call to come over to Lake Mills and interview. It was about 2.5 hours or so where we were living at the time, and just really kind of lucked into a great situation. This Lake Mills is about halfway in between where I grew up and where my wife grew up, which is Cannon Falls, Minnesota. And again, we've both loved our work experience here, and the friends we've made, and the opportunities that this community has given to us, and very thankful for it.
Over a long coaching career, 27 years of coaching, starting at age 22, can you think of any kind of coaching beliefs that you've done a 180 on, whether it's a certain drill, an offensive philosophy, an offensive system? What were you in on at one point, but now you've seen the light and you're not fixed on it so much anymore?
Yeah, another excellent question. If I want one thing that I am very glad that I started doing this, even my first year of coaching, is I have kept every practice plan that I've ever led. So I mean, in 27 years, I could go back to year 3 and tell you what we did on the 10th day of practice that year. And every once in a while,
digital? Are you digital nowadays? Or are you still going pen and paper?
I write them out every day. Yep, I write out, and that is kind of a therapeutic thing for me too. To just that time each day that I sit down and just kind of try to process what needs to be taken care of, and what's the best. And I write out each plan, and I keep those in a binder at the end of the season. But I would say the thing that I have changed the most philosophically is, I don't know, when I got into coaching, it just seemed like there was a belief back then that you didn't want to play too much 5-on-5, that you wanted to break everything down and do a ton of drills. And of course, you're going to play 5-on-5 and work on your half court offense. But nowadays, there's sometimes right after we warm up where that's how we'll open practice. We'll get our warm up done, and then we'll just play some quick 5-on-5 games to 7, just to get the kids up and down competing, and maybe working on some things that we put in the day before, and just kind of seeing who processed things well. And I would say I've of course, everybody has their drills that they like, and you got to incorporate good drills. But the best way to teach this game is to put the kids in situations where they have to play 5-on-5 and make reads and make decisions. And I think that's the biggest change I've probably made over my career.
I'm interested in who's influenced you, who's been a mentor to you. It could be local people that an audience wouldn't have heard of, or it could be a prominent coach from today, where are you kind of extracting, coaching nuggets that have transferred into your philosophy?
Yeah, I have had really good experience. My college coach, Todd Berry, at Northwestern College, he is retired now, but tell you what, the thing that I learn the most, this man every year, still to this day, early November every year, he sends me a handwritten note, postcard that he sends out to me. And he does that for all of his former players that are in the coaching profession, handwritten notes, specific things about our program. And man, I tell you, I every year I message him or call him and thank him for that. Just that, that level of caring that you have for former players, and that you're tracking all these former players that are now coaching at different places. I've got to think what a cool feeling that is for him to have, kind of a coaching tree underneath him there of people that have followed in his footsteps. So he's one of my biggest influences, I would say, just on passion for the job and connection with the people that you're working with, whether it be assistants or players. Coaches that I have loved to follow, from afar. Big Duke fan. Not sure where you fall there with. It seems like one of those programs people either love them or hate them, but I'm one that loves them. And Coach Mike Krzyzewski, I just really, anything that he put out, whether a video or a book or whatever, I was just always very interested. All his interviews, I just think he was just such an exceptional leader of men. And he would be someone, I've never met him, but would love to get that opportunity someday. And I would say if I had to pick two, it would be those two guys, my college coach and then just following Mike Krzyzewski.
I do like Duke. I appreciate Duke. And one of the best men in my dad's wedding was a guy by the name of Larry Shyatt. Have you heard of Larry Shyatt?
I have, yes. Yep.
Larry Shyatt coached at Wyoming, I believe. I think he might have coached Larry Nance at Wyoming. But he was the head coach at Clemson. And my dad pulled a favor from Larry Shyatt where we flew down to Clemson to watch the Clemson Duke game.
Oh, man.
And this is during the J.J. Redick era. So they were giving J.J. Redick hell the whole time.
Yep.
Duke
as everyone did.
Duke crushed Clemson. But those college environments are just impossible to replicate, the intensity, the passion that those fans have, and to be able to go and see the Duke program when it was, humming at full steam and, in the national spotlight like that. That's a memorable experience that, I'll never forget. So very interesting stuff with your coaching mentors. Thinking of basketball beliefs, what are some basketball beliefs that you're absolutely married to, Coach?
Yeah, I've got to open with this. I really believe strongly that as a leader of your program, you have to be right in the mix with your guys and own your responsibility on failures and losses and that type of thing. And even yesterday we had a film session. We actually played very poorly in our last game right before Christmas break, and it's kind of a tradition in our program. We have about a week off over Christmas before we get back at it, but we'll kind of open up the Christmas break practices by diving into some film. And it's one thing I always tell them. Say we're going to be very pointed, and we're going to be very there's going to be a lot of positives, and we're also going to point out a lot of negatives. But as coaches, we don't absolve ourselves from the blame of any of this. These are things that we obviously have to teach better and lead better. And I hope our kids respect that philosophy that we have. As you know, we're not trying to talk down to them or make it seem like they're intentionally doing things wrong, but we're gonna help them with their weaknesses and own our part of it too as a coaching staff as to what we need to do better. That would be one thing, and the other thing is kind of connected to that too. Is you have to care about these players as people, as individuals. You have to build relationships with them and figure out who you need to praise, who you need to get after, and for some kids, it's certainly a mix of both. And I just have found that I've had great relationships with kids when we're very direct, open, and honest with them, and we expect the same from them. We want them to have that open communication with us. So I would say those are two things for me that are absolutes in the Lake Mills basketball program.
I want to dive into the Lake Mills culture a little bit. How do you define success for your program? What would you quantify as toughness within your program? How are you balancing your relationships with your players and discipline? Tell me about the Lake Mills culture.
Yeah, culture. Another great question. I love talking about these things with you. It matters so much. The overall culture that you have as a basketball team, as a program, as a school, whatever it may be. And I think in order to get great culture, you got to be. It kind of comes back to what I just said, but I mean, communication has to be at the forefront. You have to show the players how much they mean to you as individuals. You need to, I don't know. I find myself each week trying to find different kids that need to be uplifted a little bit with a positive text, or send them some video clips of things that they're doing well, or things that they're doing poorly and that we want them to do better. And I don't know. I think that's the most important thing for me in establishing culture is making sure that the players understand that it's not just we're trying to get another win here. We're trying to build you up and have you play a role in something that's bigger than all of us. And I think when the coaches model those types of things, you're going to find that your leaders on the team step right up and do the same. And that usually leads to just outstanding culture throughout the program.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with culture for me is just understanding that it's a relentless pursuit.
Yeah.
It's a daily thing.
Well said.
A lot of coaches are, hey, let's do some graphics in the locker room. Let's print a T-shirt, and then we're going to go about our business. But if you're not setting the tone on a daily basis with your culture, you're going to have whatever culture is dictated to you by the people involved, as opposed to it being a collaborative thing. Hey, I'm interested in hearing about the best Lake Mills team that you ever coached.
Oh, great question. A couple years ago, or maybe it was just about a year ago, I put out a Twitter poll about this. I took our 4 state tournament teams, and I just had people vote on Twitter as to who they thought was the best team. The team that won.
Community civil war.
Yeah. Oh, it was kind of fun to get former players weighing in and texting me, and former assistant coaches, and it really. I do like that part of Twitter where you can throw out a question there and kind of find out what other people think. And the team that won was the 2022 team. That was a 25-2 team. We made the state semifinals. My son's senior year, we were also 25-2, made the state semifinals. So those 2 teams had the exact same record. Honestly, the team, our 2021 team, had a Division I football player on it, Caleb Bacon from Iowa State, who was a tremendous linebacker for Iowa State football this year. he was one of our post players, and we had some really good talent around him. And that team lost in the first round at state in an overtime game to the eventual state champion. So, it's probably got to be one of those. I'm sure my 2020 guys probably think it's their team. That was our first team that made it to state, and we were 23-3 that year. I don't know if I had to pick one team out of those. It's hard to go against the 22 group because we had an absolute monster on the interior that's playing Division II basketball out at Adams State in Colorado right now, and he's pretty much unguardable. I mean, I think he would probably have been the difference maker if that team played my 2024 group.
I appreciate that you didn't skirt the question and just say the poll said this, that you actually circled back and gave your final answer. That took some courage there, and I noticed that. A lot of the success that you've had has come relatively lately. Tell me about the teams that might not have achieved to the highest level of some of the teams you just talked about, but a team that might have kind of set this in motion, where they were kind of the team that came before the success that maybe set the culture, or you really had the buy-in with this group that allowed you to kind of take off on the trajectory that you're on now.
Yeah, the 2018-19 team did not make the state tournament, but we actually only had 2 seniors on that team. But they were coming off a season the year before where I think we were maybe like 9-14 that year. So we had kind of a poor record that year. They jumped out of the gates quick that season, played extremely well. We had a really tough schedule that year, a lot of really good opponents to match up with. And we did not make state, but we kind of knew after that year, especially with certain groups that were coming behind them, we knew we had kind of laid the groundwork for really starting something special. And it's, I'll tell you, it takes a lot of hard work, but there's some luck involved in it, some big time luck. I had a team in 2010 that, it's hindsight's 2020. You can never say this for certainty, but we would have gone to the state tournament that year, in my opinion. But on the very final play of practice the night before, we were just running through some stuff. I think a set play or something, and our big guy just went up for an uncontested layup, wasn't undercut or anything, came down, broke his foot. Okay, just inexplicably just came down and broke his foot, and so we didn't have much depth, but this kid was a really good interior player for us, and then we ended up getting beat out and didn't make state. And there's been other years, my team last year would have been right in the mix for getting to the state semifinals again or beyond, but our returning all-state post tore up his knee in football and didn't play the whole season. We still had a good year. We were 17-6, but it's just at a 1A school like that, really hard to replace a talent. And there's other times where you just run into a hot team or a better team, and it's one of these things that we've had a great deal of success lately. But I know the work that boys that played for me in the past, they put in the same hard work, and maybe just didn't have the path. Sometimes you need the right path to get there, and a little bit of luck. There's things I'm sure I should have done better coaching some of those teams to help them get over the top. But it's just when you go through this journey as a coach, you realize how many things go into success. And we've just been really fortunate in these last 6-7 years or so to really be able to have everything line up, and great support from our community and parents. And it's been a really fun run for us.
Yeah, when I think about my coaching career, my first year as a head coach, we won our district. We made it to regionals, and we got to regionals. And myself and my team, probably because of me, were pretty much just happy to be at regionals. And we played a really good team. We were competitive with them, and we lost. In my second year and my third and fourth year, um, we won our district. We made it to regionals. And by the time it was that second year, it was a business trip going to regionals. It wasn't a moment that was too big for us. And, we were able to have some postseason success. But that first team that didn't achieve as much in the playoffs was really the catalyst for the success that came after it, because the kids that were freshmen and sophomores and juniors and our coaching staff, we all got to that level, saw what it was like, and knew how to approach it the next time. And that we wouldn't have been able to have success beyond that if that first failure didn't pop up. Tell me about a loss that still haunts you. Is there a single game that kind of sticks in your craw as something that you wish you could do over, you wish you would have got? Is there a single loss to point to?
Yeah, there really is. I mean, I think the, guys like you and me and, guys that do a lot of coaching, I don't know, sometimes you remember those losses as much as you do the big wins. District final 2016, we had a phenomenal player, probably the best all-time player in our school's history, a kid named Granger Kingland. And we had a decent team around him, but again, I kind of wish that I had some things back from that season. I think I could have done a better job in some certain areas that maybe would have better prepared us for this district final loss. And it was just kind of a game where we had a kind of a player meltdown at a key point of the game and get a technical foul. And that was late in the fourth quarter, and that hurt us. And we had we came from behind to get ahead late, and then we kind of gave that away. And so that's one there that I honestly felt like if we could have won that district final game, we would have had a really good chance to win the next one and go to state, but wasn't meant to be. I would probably say another one that was really tough was 2020. We made the state tournament, but we did not win our conference, and we kind of gave away a game in the fourth quarter on our home floor late in the season that basically cost us an opportunity to play for the conference title the following Monday. And so it was a very painful loss for the kids because we hadn't won the conference in a while. We were able to win it the following season, which was good. But again, you talk about kind of silver linings or, how kids respond to it. And after that loss, we finished the regular season strong and then rattled off four very convincing wins in the tournament to go to state. And that was one of the special things I remember telling that first group that went there, that as tough as that loss was, 2.5 weeks ago that we had on our home floor, going through that adversity, I think gave us an opportunity to work on some things, and we responded well and ended up making state.
Yeah, I can think from my coaching career, I've lost twice in the regional finals, right on the doorstep of state. One time we were an underdog, and the other time we were a slight favorite. I can tell you the time we were a slight favorite stings and comes up in my memory a lot more often than the time that we were an underdog. I also think about the most talented team that I ever had never even made it out of districts. We got boxed in by a team that was in our conference that I felt like we were just as good as, and they beat us home, away, and neutral in the same year and knocked us out of the tournament on what is my most talented team that I had ever coached. And I think about those 3 games, probably the most out of any loss. What would you consider your highest achievement in coaching? You've coached for 27 years. You've got 400 and plus wins. You've made it to the States. You've been coach of the year. Any of that stuff or something else stand out to you as your highest achievement?
Well, I've honestly got to say that the highest achievement that, and I've told people for years, and this is the way I wanted it to be as a young coach, but I think it's the relationships that I still have with people that played for me. My assistant coach in the picture here, the guy in the front row right there, that is Hunter Kingland. He is now coaching girls basketball in Lake Mills. So proud of that guy. The coach in the upper right in the purple shirt there, that is my current assistant, Jared Feener. He was a point guard for me in 2004. We've got all kinds of former players of mine that are now coaching youth basketball. And honestly, it's, the wins and the championships are great. And they're such a rewarding part of the coaching journey. But when you have these great relationships with people and, get to go to their weddings and when I was sick, I'm in this picture here and, wearing a ball cap all year long, I had hair falling out and it just was, it was a really tough year for me. And just to have the support of guys like this that are in the picture here, that's what I would consider the most rewarding part of the journey is relationships with former players. And then of course, from a basketball standpoint, making the state tournament, getting to the state tournament. Lake Mills hadn't been to the state tournament since I think it was 1986 before we made it in 2020. And what a thrill that was. And just to see the community celebrate that together is certainly one of my greatest joys in the profession.
Yeah, the relationships are certainly special. I had recently got my college game film digitized. So I took it off of VHS, put into file format to watch on a computer or watch on the screen. And the interesting thing about that was the group chats that it inspired, where I started hitting up all my old teammates and my old coaches and showing them clips, and we were talking about the games. Just the flood of memories that all comes back. And I didn't remember a lot of the details of some of these games, but the connection that I had with the people that I went through it with was what was the most special part of any of it. Hey, I'm interested in, as from a veteran coach here, a young coach just starting out, what advice would you share with them?
Biggest piece of advice I would give to a kid right out of college or anybody that's just taken over a program is make it your own. Do not try to be like other people. I mean, you can of course have great influences that have helped you along the way, but you just have to. Everybody's got their own personality. Everybody's got their own style of leadership. And you have to let those things come out naturally in order to maximize your team's potential and then your own potential as a leader and coach. I would say early in my career, I maybe didn't do an exceptionally good job with that. I was maybe watching other coaches too much and okay, maybe I need to be like this, or maybe I need to do, have these type of mannerisms with the officials, or maybe I need to do, there's all kinds of things that you think about as a young and inexperienced coach, but be yourself, develop your own style of leadership, be very authentic with your kids and with your staff, give your staff ownership to things and responsibilities, and don't make it all about yourself, because we're all guilty of that as human beings. Sometimes we are self-centered and think about things as a me first approach. And I think this is one of those opportunities that we get as coaches to be servant leaders and to really I don't know, develop young men and help them in their path in life. And in order to do that, you've got to be authentic and have your own style.
Coach, we're running out of time. I've just got two more questions for you to close this thing out. Do you have a favorite drill? If so, can you describe it? What are you trying to accomplish with it? How does it go? As succinctly as possible, a favorite drill of yours.
Yeah, there's a lot of good drills. I would say we have a drill, and I picked this one up. I think I was in college. I honestly, I think we first started doing this when I was a college player. It's called Arizona defense, and you can run it as a 3-on-3 drill, a 4-on-4 drill, even a 5-on-5 if you have enough players. But it's just basically nonstop, continuous half-court basketball. You've got 3 teams. And so, if we're playing 3-on-3, start 3 offense, 3 defense, play a possession. If the defense gets a stop, they immediately transition to offense. They've got to get the ball out to the center circle. And once they touch the center circle, they're live. A new defense comes in. And if you score, you get to stay on offense. So there's a reward for hitting your shots and playing together and getting good looks. And there's also, you're never going to get to play offense unless you get a stop, which is where I think the drill got its name, because in order to get a chance to score, you first have to go out there and stop somebody. And it's a very competitive drill. It's a very intense drill. It's probably one that I haven't run enough this year. We've run it some, but the kids love it, and you get a chance to really evaluate who's got some toughness, who's got some competitive instinct, and then you kind of find out who your dogs are a little bit too. Who are your guys that are going to take a drill over, and who's going to be able to lock down the best player from the opposing groups. And really love that one, Arizona defense.
Yeah, I can picture what you're talking about, and what would stand out to me about a drill like that would be the competitive element of it, the cutthroat element of it, where you're not focusing on one single thing, but you're going to draw out the competitiveness of all the kids in the gym. Exactly. So it would be one that you can maximize as a coach for whatever you want to focus on, but the kids are going to enjoy it too because of the level of competition. Last question here, and then I'll let you go. After all these years, Coach, why does coaching still matter to you?
Oh, I think it's just a passion of mine that, I'm not a golfer in the summer. I'm a terrible golfer. When I'm in the off season, I spend a lot of time doing other things too with my family. We do a lot of traveling and things like that, but it's something that's always on my mind, in the off season, trying to think about how we can best maximize the talents of our next group coming in. And, you said it well a while back in this conversation, where it is a process, it is a journey, and it is a never ending grind. And I think, I've often joked with people, the coaching profession, normal people don't do this. This is not for most people. And I don't say that as being, condescending toward people. It's something that most people would not enjoy this at all. All the work that goes into this and all the behind the scenes stuff. But for those of us that love it, it's just a true passion. It's kind of hard to explain. And just very grateful for what Lake Mills has brought to my life and my family's life, and just the different experiences that I've been able to have through the sport of basketball.
Coach, it's been so great absorbing some of your wisdom. Enjoyed talking about the flex offense with you and getting into a little bit of your background and your coaching career. I'm excited to see what our audience what they feel about our conversation today. But hey, let's stay in touch here, and I wish you good luck here through the rest of your season.
Really appreciate it. Love these conversations. Learn a lot from you as well. And I've told you this before, but thank you so much for all that you're doing for the sport of basketball. Love your content and hearing your stories about your career. And it's just very fun to connect with other coaches.
Are you ready to watch 20-year-old grainy VHS footage of me playing? Because it's locked and loaded, Coach.
You know what? I've seen some footage of you, and you could play. I'm not going to show you any footage of my college career. I don't think I have a whole lot of it anyway. But yes, I enjoy watching those clips, and we'll look forward to seeing those in some of your future emails there.
All right. Hey, take care, Coach.
Yeah, you too.